Would you rather own 100% of a little grape or 10 to 30% of a massive watermelon? Welcome to the Nine Doors Down Show, where we discuss anything and everything about commercial real estate and investing. Let's get it.
Nine Doors Down.
John Lopez.
Nine Doors Down.
Hi, this is Tony Rose.
Nine Doors Down.
Hi, this is Anthony Pimentel.
Educating, capital raising, networking.
Nine doors down. Nine doors down.
This is called a show.
What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Nine Doors Down Show with myself, John Lopez, and my co-host,
Anthony Pimentel.
What's up, man? Man, this
Hey,
is
man.
You know what? We have a guest that we've never featured on, for one, and also we've never featured this asset class. So this is kind of cool.
Yeah, I can't wait to kind of touch on it and pick his brain and have him share some gems regarding this asset class that we've always wanted to get into, but as you know, we just don't have experience. So it'll be great to just dive into it.
Yeah, absolutely. So this gentleman here, he's a dedicated nurse practitioner with over 15 years of experience, passionately committed to elderly care. His journey began in healthcare, but he eventually found his true calling in creating meaningful change within his community. Transitioning into real estate, he gained valuable insights by working with assisted living facilities, deepening his understanding of the needs faced by seniors and the importance of a compassionate solution. He is driven by a mission to help and inspire others to address critical issues like housing and to make a positive impact. And for those listening at home, if you're stuck on the 405 freeway or the 15 freeway here in Las Vegas and you're listening to the Nine Doors Down Show, let's welcome our featured guest, Mr. James Contreras of the Nurse Practitioners in Real Estate.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate the warm invitation and warm introduction. Great to be here.
Yeah, man. Since this is like kind of our second season and we kind of paused for wow, probably like more than 6 months. It's nice to get back in the swing of things, and especially to talk about an asset class that, investors, they talk about the silver tsunami, and you're the perfect fit for this. So the very first question right off the bat, James, is, man, what was life like for you prior to real estate?
I would say prior to getting into real estate, it's actually me and my wife are into full-time into medical, like nurse practitioners. We've been doing nurse practitioner up till now. I mean, we're still practicing as nurse practitioners. We've been on the field or in the medical field, I would say, like for 15 years. And at some point, we kind of like hit like a wake-up call, like, oh, we're kind of like stuck with work, not enough time with the kids, and kids are growing up, activities here and there. We kind of like miss some of those milestones with them. So we had a conversation with me and my wife. There should be something, a way that we could kind of like free up our time without really sacrificing the time for the family. And that's where we kind of like find out about real estate. And sure enough, something, tied up to our profession, more specific, is assisted living facility, because most of our background as a nurse practitioner, we deal with elderly care. So it's something really, I would say, personal and also something closely connected to our profession.
Gotcha. And then, so why not try a different asset class like car washes or vending machines?
I think one thing that we also consider those other commercial real estates, but something I would say tied up for me personally is for elderly, because considering my background as a Filipino, we have like a strong family ties. So me and my wife, we kind of like envision this goal, like maybe sometime, or someday we will be able to kind of like create a community where we can see elderly are thriving well, they are aging gracefully, they're having a great lifetime. We're seeing this, like, this could be the last stage where they can enjoy life. So why not give them the most out of the remaining years of their life? Like kind of like give them whatever they want to accomplish on it.
No, for sure. I love it, man. I mean, now my question is basically, were you and your wife on board, or was it something like you were like, hey, we're getting too busy with work, we're missing out all this stuff with our kids. Was it something that you came up with, or was it like you and your wife together? Tell kind of go through that and how that came about.
It's actually my wife who is really the brain behind everything in here. Like she's the one who kind of like look into it. Like she discovered what we call like residential assisted living. So here in California, residential assisted living, it looks like a typical single family home from the outside, but on the inside it caters in mostly up to 6 seniors, and they have most of it like 1, 2, or 3 care staff that providing care with them. So that's where we kind of like dig into it. I said like, I mean, we get the benefit of both. Like we get the benefit of the real estate, and we get the benefit on it specific with the business pertaining to elderly care. So what we found out, my wife met this another nurse practitioner who's kind of like operating this residential assisted living homes for, I would say, I think roughly about 15 years actually. And with his kids, no one doesn't want to continue what he's been doing. So, I mean, to make it short, like he's ready to hang up on it. So he just wanted it to kind of like pass it to someone who kind of like possess the same value that providing quality housing to the elderly and having them a good quality of life. So that's our first encounter with it, and I believe we started on this first home that we have around 2017. So that's where everything snowballed from it.
I love that, James. So if you could just educate those that don't know, what is the difference between assisted living and, say, a senior care facility?
Assisted living, kind of like, I mean, they have some similarities, and they could also be some the biggest difference between assisted living. It pertains to like providing assistance for the elderly, and assisted living, it could be like on the residential level. I mean, it's just some of them are still independent, but they're not really safe to be on their own, living on their own. Like maybe something might happen, they might fall, or I mean, God forbid, like someone comes in and I mean take advantage of it. So there's still most of them they're still mobile, or some of them they may need some assistance of activities of daily living. Activities of daily living. These are like I mean, grooming, feeding, bathing, toileting, or some of them they also may need medication management. Like they may forget to take their medication on time, or they kind of like I mean they lost track on their ordering their medication. So these are something that is being provided on the assisted living side. Now there's something that they call like the senior care. Senior care on the opposite. These are some of the senior that are still living on their own. They live on their houses, and there could be some like they have their own like a one-on-one private caregiver. But these are, I would say, maybe they are the one that was still mobile, or they just don't want to I mean leave their houses. So what happens is there's a private caregiver that comes into their place, and they do like one-on-one care. But I mean, the biggest difference between the two is the cost itself. Like for caregivers, like private caregivers in California that conducts that the one-on-one, they may range for about $35 to $40 per hour. So if they need like constant like 24 hours, I mean, it's gonna be really tough on it. And just considering for the care itself, versus on the like on the assisted living, they get everything like an all inclusion, like a package of everything, that they don't have to worry about their meals, they don't have to worry about their laundry, they don't have to worry about they if they have their medication on, or if they have something that they need even with the doctor's appointment, we help them like to remind them, or if we need to call their physicians to kind of like, hey, this is what's going on with this resident. It's kind of like more tailored to their specific needs.
I mean, so there's different, pretty much levels of severity of cases of the elderly. I know there's some, like you said, that are mobile, and then some that are non-mobile that needs more care, one-on-one. So those kind of, I guess, facilities are more specialty wise, right? I think that's the best way to say it. So, kind of take me through when, as a nurse practitioner, you're working at a hospital, big corporate kind of place, and then now you go into kind of your self-owned kind of business. Kind of take us like the stumbling blocks. Like, how did you get into like? Did you get training from the previous operator? Like, what kind of stuff were you kind of run into issues with, or learning? What did you learn from that?
Yeah, that's a good one. So basically, what we did, me and my wife did the teamwork play on it. My wife attended the administrator certification, so that way she can really get to like the specific on the policies, the operations, and everything on it. And I myself did the training with the previous owner, which is, I mean, something really I'm very grateful up to now, because everything on the administrator training that my wife did, I mean, hands down, these are like on the book type. But the one that the training that I got from the previous operator, these are like on the day-to-day operations, which is kind of like what to expect, or sometimes like these are the unexpected situations, like how to react on it. Like, let's say you have a vacancy, what will you do? How can you market? Or if you need like anything like outside of the policies and procedure, that something unexpected incidents that could happen. These are the things that, I mean, he trained me well, which is up to now I'm still using on it.
I have another very, very basic question, James. So, with an operator, how do you get paid?
So basically, each residence on a monthly basis, they have their set pricing, like basically like a rent. Depending on the level of care that we provide for them, they do pay. So most of them they pay every first of the month. And then all of them gets paid. All of them gives us the payment, and then afterwards, whatever's on the payment to cover for the payroll, for the expenses of the home, for the mortgage or for the rent, everything afterwards, that's gonna be like I would say like the waterfall effect on my end as the operator.
Okay. And then how does insurance come into play, and how does it benefit operators such as yourself?
Yeah, that's a good one actually. In regards with insurance, there's two types of insurance that helps cover for residents in here. One is a private insurance, which is most call it as a like a long-term care insurance. So these are the this is the insurance that covers whatever Medicare doesn't cover outside of the medical expenses, because assisted living is under the model of like a social services. We're not under the umbrella of Department of Health. So basically, it's not something being covered by Medicare. So this is what for most of the resident that has a long-term care insurance, this is what it gets covered. Now on the opposite, most of the residents, they just have their own private pay, like cash that they have, like they pay us. And the third option now is like something that is covered by the government through the Medicaid. There's something like they call it like the medical here in California. It's called medical waiver. So there's a specific portion that the Medicaid or the medical covers, and the rest could be like what we call like a quote unquote out of pocket from the residents. But there's also a significant percentage, but that the Medicaid will cover for it.
So basically, you could take either one, right? Either or, any as long as I guess they make the payment. Whether it's insurance, government, whatever it is, private. They're from their 401k, their retirement, anything. So my question to you, so very similar to like you mentioned something about vacancy, like in real estate, you put tenants in there when you have a vacancy. When you take in new tenants, do you have to like do checks or background checks, medical checks? Like, what kind of things do you look for before you kind of take them in?
So basically, the process. Let me walk through on the process. Like, let's say I have a vacancy, and then I got a referral. Most of the time, referral coming from either from a hospital, skilled nursing facility, or there are some also like we call it like senior placement agents. These are the one that kind of like handles like, oh, I have a client who lives at home, and now I mean the family thinks like it's about time for them to move to a community. So what we do once we receive the referral, I myself who kind of like, I mean, go evaluate the resident itself, so kind of like just to make sure that everything of the needs of this potential resident is something that we could accommodate. And since then, kind of like we're kind of like growing in regards with the number of homes. I also train now our managers. If I'm not available, they're the one who will come in and do the evaluation. We kind of like have like a checklist of these are the things that are going on. These are the current health situation. If it is something that we can accommodate or something that we cannot accommodate or something that their needs, it's outside of a residential assisted living.
So, James, can someone who say they just graduated college, they got a business degree, do you need medical experience to operate your own assisted living?
No, not at all. Yeah, I mean, I would say it could kind of like give you a little bit of advantage. Just kind of like, I mean, on my end, the reason I say that's an advantage because at least I kind of like have a familiarity of what are the condition, the health condition of these residents, and also their medication itself. So I kind of like got an idea already what's going on. But considering, let's say, taking out my medical background or medical experience, I mean, it shouldn't be like a disadvantage. I would say it still goes down with the training itself. It still goes down with with the experience on it. Plus, it helps a lot because there's a lot now of uh they call them like consultants outside of this training for administrator classes. There's also some consultants who conducts that walks through someone who wishes to establish or creates their own assisted living facility. They will walk through with you from day one. They will evaluate your home if it is something like could accommodate or if it will gonna pass to the compliance of the fire department, then to the submission of your application, to your licensing, and then going back to the actual inspection with the fire marshal. These consultants itself that will help you to speed up the application, and it will guide you to save time for it. So it creates a lot of, I mean, difference. So I would say even if you don't have any medical background, I would say it's still a good, I mean, a good area to learn.
Man, fantastic. Those are great feedback right there and information because my first thought when it came to assisted living or that home health kind of stuff, I'm thinking you need to be or you need to have a staff of registered nurses or something of that with some medical, experience.
Yeah, I think that's also one of the I would say like a most common feedbacks that I'm getting, like, oh, I don't want to get into that one. I mean, I don't have any medical background or anything. You don't need any medical background. And in fact, I mean, we're not under the umbrella of Department of Health, where we are being guided and licensed through Department of Social Services. So we are not a medical model.
As far as like with multifamily, every operator has their buy box, right? A territory, what type of returns we're looking for. Is there a certain part of the country where you see the need for assisted living growing much more rapidly versus another region of the US?
I would say it's all over. It's nationwide that there's a huge need on it because there's an agency called NIC. It stands for National Investment Center for Senior Housing. They just recently conducted they do held a annual conference every year. In fact, I was there I think 2 months ago. So they did a latest study that they said that by 5 years from now, by 2030, 20% of the national population in the United States will be 65 years old or older. Like we're talking about 20% of the entire population. And the biggest thing on this one, most of them, or out like 90% of them, will be needing assistance with their daily living. But on the opposite, the inventory is really not catching up. Like in fact, they based on their study as well from Nick, there's about 250,000 units needed by year 2027. And like we're talking about maybe like about 14 or 15 months from now. That's how behind. And I mean, considering what's going on with the build up, yeah, it's way too far in order to catch up for building up new communities or new homes for it. So there's really a huge need nationwide.
That's great info. Now, take me through that. I mean, if we have that shortage, like what are their options right now as we're trying to catch up or the assisted living facilities are trying to catch up? what are their options? I mean, it's just I'm assuming they just live with their family and family watches them, or is that where senior living comes, or is there any public service out there?
Yeah, I mean, most of them, if they're not on a senior communities or residential assisted livings or the bigger one like the assisted living facility communities, majority of them it's either they're living on their own or they may have like their own private caregiver or they're living with their family. Those are the only. I mean, outside of it, if you don't have Medicaid or medical, you cannot stay longer in a skilled nursing facility. And also, if there's no kind of like really need for you to be in a skilled nursing facility, the health insurance will deny it. Unfortunately, because of the high demand and the low supply, most of them are kind of like taking it day by day that it's either they're living on their own or they're living with their family. But I mean, the most common I would say reason when I hear like, oh, this resident is moving in and they used to live with their family, most of the reason that I'm hearing is the caregiver burnout. Like the family is already kind of like having the toll of the day to day taking care of their family member. And in fact, like now they kind of like feel the burden on their end, like they need a break also on their end.
I think everyone has that experience of an elderly relative or friend. Maybe they have a lack of resources, but they need the help, but they definitely need the help like one way or another. You touched on burnout as far as like the family, whatever. Is there burnout with your staff? Like being a cashier at a retail spot and then they're there for a year, then they want to move on to the next, or do the nurses that's working in your facilities, they're there for the long haul?
Yeah, I mean that's a good one because usually when we do one part of our hiring process, I mean regardless of their background, I mean some of them they used to work on a like on a different medical different field, I would say. So what we do on them, we have them we provide them with some training. So that way they kind of like give an idea what are the types of clients that we are dealing with. We provide them with training. We have them attend training how to handle elderly care. And since most of our communities or our home also we are licensed for dementia care, so that's also something that we need this staff to undergo training specific for dementia care. I mean, because at the end of the day, I mean, we want them to provide employment, but if it is something they're not seeing that they will be able to take care for elderly, especially for someone who has dementia, I already tell them upfront these are something of the expectations. So if you're open with it or something that you feel like you have a good passion in taking care of elderly, I think it's gonna be a good fit. Otherwise, if you're thinking that oh it's just gonna be easy, I mean there's only like 6 residents in there, I think it's gonna be like a easy work. It's no, it's not. I mean they need a lot of care actually. So it's something that we make sure that they undergo some training prior to kind of like really stepping into our homes.
Now, as far as being on paper, do they have to be like an LVN or a registered nurse?
No, they don't actually want.
Really?
Yeah, they don't have to be specific into like a nursing background. Most
Hmm.
we have a pharmacy actually that we work with. They do provide a training and they provide certificate called a medication technician. In part of that training is it gives this staffs or how to provide or how to administer medication, what to watch out for, like the dosing, making sure that this is the correct order and such, to kind of like making sure that they provide the appropriate medication as how the physicians of these residents ordered it. But to answer the question, no, I mean we don't require any nurses to be on the staff, but it also helps though. But on the other side, like the bigger communities, like we're talking about like the one that are like the bigger communities, most of them they do have like LVN, like one LVN for the entire building, but they're not in there 24/7. Maybe they're just in there for a short shift, just to kind of like oversee on it. But these are with the residents with maybe at least 40 or higher.
Speaking of the 24/7 care, and you mentioned your staff is on, I guess, on premise 24/7. Is that correct?
Correct. Correct. We have staffs 24/7 within the premises. So even at nighttime, although I mean most of our homes we have like a ratio of 2 care staff to 6 residents. This is during the daytime on it, and during at nighttime we can just kind of like at least do like 1 care staff to 6 residents, just to make sure if like at nighttime if one of the residents needs some assistance, needs some help, at least there's someone who can attend to their needs on it.
Now, I'll go back to that vacancy and occupancy part of the business. What is the normal or average stay of these tenants?
Oh geez, I would say years.
Years is
Yeah.
I'm not thinking like 1 year turnover, like 6 months. Yeah, I
No,
mean,
no, not on that one. I think from the record itself, since we started 8 years ago, I think the longest resident that we had, she stayed with us for 6 years.
oh wow.
And some of them, because we are also able to cater in for residents who are under hospice care, like they're terminally ill, and it's either they don't have any place where they can kind of like receive hospice care, or maybe they have home but they don't want to kind of like pass away in their home. So we are able to cater in for it. So for hospice care, most of the time I would say just days, like short stay, like really short stay.
And what does
Man,
the turnover look like for that? Like if one patient is, on its way out, how many days, or usually it takes a couple days, like for turnovering an apartment or a unit. What does that look like for you guys?
For me, on our end, on our experience, we're grateful. Most of our vacancy, I would say average of about a week.
A week?
We were able to maintain like a wait list. Like let's say, oh, okay, one of our, I would say like a quote unquote a special sauce on our end is, even if we're full house, we don't have any availability, and then we kind of like receive a referral, we'll tell them upfront, you know what, we don't have any vacancy at the moment, but we're more than happy to have you guys tour in. If you guys are willing to wait, we'll put you on the wait list. And then once something opens up, or we're expecting someone moving out, or there's gonna be a vacancy, I'll call you right away. I think since then it helped us to kind of like build a wait list, and it kind of also shortens the vacancy.
I got another basic question. As for myself, if I see someone vomit, I can't take it, right? Or if I see someone else like with blood, I freak out. How do in my mom's she's a registered nurse herself, so I asked her this question many years ago, like, how do you separate work from, because you have to be compassionate, right? And you care for these people. Like, how do you separate or differentiate, when say life ends and someone's been living there for several years?
Yeah, that's true. That's actually tough, because we always tell this the family, or even the residents, like, once you move in, consider this as your home. We're gonna be like a one big family in here. So it kind of like, as much we kind of like cut off the emotional part, it's tough. And we experience it, most of our experience, like I would say 90% on it. Once they move in, this is gonna be the last, the last place until God decides what will be the next option. So on our end, the emotional part, we kind of like, we still kind of like brief our staffs on it, like kind of like give them a reminder. I know it's gonna be like a family for us in here, but also at the other end, we need to kind of like act professional. We also at some point we need to put a separation where it could be like an emotional aspect, and where will be like on the professional aspect for it.
Fascinating, dude.
This is good stuff, man. I appreciate you. You can tell with some of our questions, we just don't know this asset class, and we really appreciate you being on the podcast, really explaining to us step by step, because that's the way we kind of flow, and how we think is like step by step on basically of the business, right? Like the business model and the flow. But what I wanted to say is basically, now that you've kind of grown into multiple facilities, I'll call them. What is your kind of like day to day? Like like how many hours are you working? Are you just checking in here and there? Well, kind of take us through that part.
Initially, when we have the first home, I kind of like handled everything on my end, like on the operation wise, like day-to-day activity. And when as we kind of like expand and add more homes into it, another home and on top of the other home, I kind of like build my own team. I would say like I have my manager and I have the assistant manager. They kind of like handles the day-to-day operations, but and they also they what we do now, they're taking over the day-to-day operation. I'm still coming in there, I would say maybe like twice or three times a week on a regular basis and on as needed if they need something on my end. And also I train them to kind of okay, we have a referral because it happened before, like we had a referral, 4 referrals at the same time. And there's no way that I can go each of them, and some of them are on in like let's say one is in LA County and the other one's all the way in Orange County. So kind of like I assigned one of the manager to go in there, and then I'll go to the other one, and then let's just do a brainstorm on it. I think it's still gonna be like a more of a team effort for this one.
Now, are your facilities like within proximity, like a few miles from each other, or they're kind of like in multiple cities?
First 3 that we had, there are within a less than 2 mile radius.
Okay.
And outside of that one, we open up one which is maybe like 10 miles away from it. So we're kind of like we're experimenting, like are we able to kind of like move out of our like comfort area. It worked well. We're still able to kind of like adapt to our system. Like we still have the managers taking over and we take turns, and we're still doing like a team effort for the manager. And so far, it's been operational, it's been helping, and we're still able to keep our system intact.
What are some horror stories, like operational wise, that you guys have encountered, or it could be like a funny story?
I would say one time that nothing really in particular, but we made it a habit for us because we want this one like to feel like one of our goal for this residential care home is like we want the resident and the family to feel like they're at home, like they feel comfortable. So now during those like big events like Thanksgiving, since we took over, it's a mandatory for us that we will always schedule a Thanksgiving to each homes, and we kind of like really give the family members like a 2 months notice. We need you guys to be in here. Block this date. We will do like a Thanksgiving lunch or Thanksgiving early dinner. We need you guys to be in here so that way your family members will also feel like, you're, even if they're already living into another home, that you guys are still here celebrating these occasions with them. Other thing too, on their birthdays, we make sure like they always at least get a cake, a balloon, and we invite the family to be in there. So we kind of like make them feel like you're still at home, even if on away from your family itself.
It's so much value to that just because of the fact that, you want to make them feel at home. You want to normalize everything. That's really cool that you guys you do that. I'm not sure if every facility does that, but that's really cool. Speaking of Thanksgiving, who handles all the cooking? And plus, I'm sure there's a lot of diet restrictions and different, allergies and, as a Filipino, I'm good with rice and meat. But I'm sure you're not gonna have all Filipinos in the facility. But what does that look like?
Most of the time, we're still doing, since we have this traditional Thanksgiving, we're still doing like traditional Thanksgiving foods, like the turkey, the mashed potatoes, everything, because 95% of our residents are like Caucasians, or because of the location of our homes. So some of them, because most of our care staffs are Filipinos. Some of them, they will request, hey, can we get some of your pancit or some of your adobo for Thanksgiving? Okay, it makes it a lot easier. But for the cooking itself, from the first home up to I believe for the first 2 homes, we do the cooking. And now when we kind of like expanded more, I think we need to kind of like we started doing like ordering for catering in order to kind of like supply food for everyone.
That's
Good stuff.
Good stuff, man. So James, what is next on the horizon, on the 12-month horizon for NPs in real estate?
We're planning to expand out. One is planning to expand on a bigger community, like we're talking about in the 40 ones. And in fact, early this month, like October 1st, we closed a community in Kentucky. This one is a all the way. This one is something really different, and this one is like also through syndication. So this one is a two community, 42 units each. So it's a total of 84 units. So it's something same model like a assisted living, same goal, like in order for elderly to thrive well and age gracefully, but on a hybrid, or I would say not a hybrid, but something like on a steroids, like on a bigger community. So that's where we're kind of like leaning on now. So moving on a bigger scale.
And so you guys do that by raising capital and accepting passive investors.
Correct. Like the traditional syndication, that's what we do in a multifamily. We adopted the same thing, but the only difference is this asset class is where we're taking over a assisted living community.
Yeah. And so you guys are not taking it down on your own. You're working with investors.
Correct. The same path for multifamily, like syndication with investors, with a group effort.
I love it, man. All right, so you know what? As we're starting to wind things down here, this next question, James, is probably going to be the toughest question you've ever been asked. Are you ready? Okay, here we go.
Good.
All right, you're stuck on an island. Your wife is not around. Your kids are not around. You don't have any business partners, no clients. You know, there's no internet. You know, you can't make phone calls. However, you could bring your smartphone, and you're able to load up your favorite musical artist or album. And what would you listen to on repeat until you get rescued from the island?
I would say lately I'm more into like Christian songs. Anything with a Christian song. It kind of like for the past months, that's something that I kind of like put into my like a routine or a habit. It kind of like brings up my mood. It kind of like mellows down, like ease out the anxiety on it. Any Christian song, it kind of like set the tones on my day. So I would say if I'm on that location, on that specific area, I would say the first music that I will hit on anything with a Christian song.
Is there any specific artists that our listeners could look into?
Oh, nothing in general actually, but there's one. I think the title on that one is "Believe." So it's something like the song. It says like it pertains to something like whatever we're going through, God is watching us. I mean, you just need to do your faith on it, and the rest He will take over for it. I mean, whatever the big or how small the struggle is, He's gonna be on your back. He will help you. So kind of like the more I listen to it every single day, it kind of like ease out already, sets the tone for the day.
Man, in our 30 plus episodes, you're the first one to bring up like faith-based music, man. So that's awesome.
Hey James, you're Filipino. We're about to have you start singing karaoke right now.
Bring it. Let's do it.
Oh, man. All right, my question. I mean, we know you're Filipino. You come from the islands, but where would you like to travel? Are you a tropical person or a mountainous area type of person?
I would say I'm more into. I grew up in back home in the Philippines. I grew up in a farm area. Like I grew up playing with the cows, with the chicken, chasing the goats and everything. I think it's still gonna be. I mean, it's something I would say like to kind of like cut me off from the day-to-day operations of what I'm doing. I would prefer to kind of like go back to something close to the nature itself. It's like the farm life. So it still goes back in where I started.
The rice fields, all that. What did you guys grow on your farm?
It's something more of a actually more of a rice and fruits.
Rice. Okay. Yeah. Nice. Good stuff, man. Love it.
So James, what is your superpower?
I would say I enjoy talking to people, like learning to someone. Like I also I wanted to kind of like hear the stories of other persons, like hearing what their experiences, because there's always something that we need to learn or we can learn every day. I kind of like wanted to be a better communicator, I would say. That's something I'm more still improving though.
Rumor has it you're gonna have your own podcast soon, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, me and my wife are planning to start our podcast. So once everything's lined up and starting, 9 doors down will be on the episode for sure.
Yeah,
Down.
let's go.
We're down.
Thank
Man.
you.
All right, James. So where can our listeners learn more about you, learn about your investment opportunities, any websites, social media handles, phone numbers, emails? Please share.
Yeah, I mean, we're heavily active in Instagram. We go by the handle of NPS in real estate. So NPS stands for Nurse Practitioners in Real Estate. We go on, that's our direct social media account. And we also have a direct phone number. I mean, the direct number towards me is 818-428-5352. I mean, I'm a open book. If any one of our listeners who kind of like wants to know something on it, I don't charge. Whatever knowledge that I know, if I can share it, I'm more than happy to share it. If I don't know the answer, let's figure out, maybe we can ask someone that could help us. I mean, at the end of the day, one of the mantra that me and my wife is like, whatever we have here is just temporary. It's just like God gave it to us. Use it, share it, pay it forward to someone who's in need.
I love it, James, man.
Amazing.
For those listening, definitely reach out to James. And this is an asset class for those looking on the investment side of things. This is an opportunity to take advantage of the silver tsunami for reasons that we've already stated on this podcast. But for those listening at home, please share the 9 Doors Down show with your friends, family. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, YouTube, and pretty much your favorite podcast platform. But on that note, James, we thank you for blessing us on the show. We look forward to seeing your growth and excited to see what the future holds for you and your wife, man.
Oh, thank you. I'm grateful for having me here. And I mean, I appreciate the invite.
Absolutely. All right. So on that note, this is another episode of the 9 Doors Down show. We out.
Peace.
Nine doors down.
John Lopez.
9 doors down.
Hi, this is Tony Rose.
9 doors down.
Hi, this is Anthony Pimentel.
Educated capital raising, networking.
Nine doors down. 9 doors down.
This is called a